Hello everyone, Don here again with another update on my W.A.R Corsair project. This video is going to be basically little short clips of progression on how I go about making the fairings for these cable clearances back here in the tail section. As you've seen in my last video, these control horns tend to stick out about 1/2 inch past the body here. So I have to make some fairings, slipstream fairings fit. As you can see, I went in and clearanced out the framework here to clear this. When the things are neutral, they're out here pretty good, but when they pull back, it tends to pull this cable clear in, so I had to really notch that out. Coming forwards, not so much, but that's what it's going to need to clear. So I've cut out both sides. On the other side, I've already went ahead and got it ready for fiberglass, as you can see what I did here. So what I got is I got a couple pieces of this printer plate, aluminum, for like newspapers and such, a friend gave me, and I patched the hole with that first, and then I put down some clear package tape. This is a duck braid. It's a kind of a low tack stuff, works really well, peels off nice. So I patched the hole first, and then I took a piece of PVC pipe and I cut out these wedges, as you can see there, and then I taped that into where I want it. Up here is a mark of where the opening actually is, comes out through, so this is longer than it has to be. Now the idea is cut out a couple pieces of fiberglass cloth, 2 pieces per side, epoxy those over top of this, let that cure, and then I can peel this whole assembly off, peel this off from the inside. And then they won't go on the outside when I apply them, but they'll be trimmed down and they'll actually come from the inside out, and they'll be glued on the inside, so then all I have to do is fill in around the edges. So, and then it'll be less work around here. This, I don't really want to get into doing that, but I can blend it in with some slurry. And that's the idea. So if it's going to work, I don't know. We'll see. So I'm just going to go ahead and do these little clips as I go along in progression shots, so you guys get an idea of how I go about doing this thing. So hopefully, as soon as I get this side taped up, I'll mix up some epoxy, cut some glass, and cover these up, and then I'll do a little short video of that. Alright, stay tuned. I'll be right back. Alright, back now with the update. We got the 2 layers of fiberglass cloth laid on both sides. Now I'll go ahead and let that set. I'll keep an eye on it as it sets. It likes to sag just a little bit, and the idea is I need to keep these corners, top and bottom, nice and clean and square. So as this stuff starts to firm up, I'll keep coming back and attacking that to make sure they stay tucked in the corners real good, because again, these are going to probably go on the inside. So, and then after these are done, cut, fitted, glued in, then we'll be removing this piece, or we'll leave this on, but I'll lay up some more glass. I'll have to, after this is trimmed, you know, it'll be clear back into here. I'll cut some foam, shape it. The contour ends basically right here at the back. It'll just come around, just kind of a round end, bald on this end, and come up to meet this. It'll be on the actual cover that comes off. This will be a permanent part of the fuselage. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and work on something else as I wait for that stuff to cure. Like always, don't waste the epoxy. I mixed up a bunch of microbloons in it, made it real thick, and applied it on there. So I only mixed up like half a batch, which is 2 ounces of epoxy, and there's probably 2 or 4 ounces of glass beads in there to get it nice and thick. You know, it looks like cake frosting, and that's what you want. Build it up real thick, sand it down until it looks like that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and maybe tinker with the pedals. I think I need to adjust the brake cylinders. I think they're a little high. You get the toes of the pedals, tops of the pedals tilted back a little more. So I'm going to modify that, because when I was in there working the rudders, I pretty much have to put the pedal almost to the firewall to get my 30-degree deflection. So I may have to work on the leverage, make the attach point for the cable just a little bit higher. Let me come around, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I had to plug my camera in because the power was low again. But what I need to do is possibly lower this connection a little bit, because when they're up in there and deflected all the way, the pedals are doing a funky little thing. So I can't shorten the cables up anymore. They're as short as they'll go with the turnbuckles, so I need to possibly raise this attach point where the cable hooks here. Get hold of it. The cable's back here. This connection here, I may make it a little higher and make it step forward about an inch to give me another inch of length on the cable to essentially make it shorter. Alright, I'll be back after that stuff sets up, or I get a little further ahead. Alright, see you. Alright everyone, I'm back now. As you can see, I got the pieces peeled off, came right off, nothing stuck to the tape. Tape peeled right off the fuselage, and then the part pulled right off the tape. So, went ahead and trimmed it down when it was still soft and rubbery, and then set them aside and let them harden up. And then that was Tuesday, today's Saturday, it was yesterday I ended up doing these. But I ended up sanding them down both sides, and then I used some slurry mix and glued them in place. So now I went ahead and put them on the outside instead of the inside. I'll just, when I get the micro balloons mixed up for the other parts, I'll go over top the whole thing and around this and then blend it in nicely, and then I'll work on the doors. So I got both of those done. And then while I was waiting for all that stuff to cure up, I decided to go ahead and fit the tank and start filling that in. So I put some tape around the tank, and I added another 1/2 inch of foam underneath here. Glued it in with some slurry mix, and then put a layer of cloth over it to lock it in. And then after that set for a little bit, I filled the back end with a slurry mix. This is taped underneath and top. Filled in the back side on top of that lip back here with slurry, and then I set the tank in there, attached the turnbuckles, pulled it down to where it was flush. So hopefully this will all pop out because it doesn't stick to this tape for anything. So then I took and did some quick slurry around here. I already lightly sanded it down because I'm going to need to add a second coat to it. And then also, as you can see, I finished covering in the windshield areas that are the clear sections, taped them off, papered them up, and then I went ahead and put some micro balloon slurry all around the windshield, and this morning I sanded that out. So now I'm working on these little fellas. I'm doing the same thing that I did on the tail section. I just taped over the hole first, and then I took a piece of sandpaper and stuck it to the wing. Took a little square rectangle block of foam, sanded it till it fit in there, cut it into a teardrop shape, double-sided tape, stuck it on there, and sanded them out to what they look like now, and then put more tape over top of it. So now I'm going to cut out a couple sheets of fiberglass, mix up some epoxy, get these covered, let them cure. And after that's done, same thing, peel it off, trim it, glue them down, because that's got to be a hollow spot for the landing gear to stick up. So that's where I'm at today. Like I said, today's Saturday. I'll get these in finished today, and then tomorrow hopefully they'll be ready to sand down and glue like the tail. So, alright, that's going to do it for right now. I'll be back after I get a little more done. Alright, see you. Alright, we're back now. I've got the 2 layers of cloth over the bumps on the wings. After making those little fairing bumps, I put more tape over top of them. So when it's all said and done, all I gotta do is grab this tape, peel it, the whole thing will come right off. And then I'll pull the tape and the foam out from underneath the bottom. And trim this down to about 1 inch around, and it'll be ready to glue down onto the wing. And now, as you can see, I've also just finished mixing up some slurry and covered the rest of the fuselage that needed finished out. So that's ready to be sanded out probably tomorrow. It's going to take the rest of the day to set up good. And you can see this side's done as well. So that's probably going to be it for the updates today. Once I get this stuff sanded out tomorrow, I'll get these removed and trimmed and glued down. I'll go ahead and start slurrying up this wing. I can't go back to here because I may have to add a little bit of material on this to fair into the flaps better. I think it's a little short, so, but I can slurry around all that stuff. I'll double check. I think there might be a light spot in here I want to touch up. Then I also came back here and covered those up real good. So that stuff sands out really easy because it's pretty heavy on microblones. So that's where we're at for today. I'll be back tomorrow evening after I get all this stuff sanded out and ready to go. Once that's done, this back of the fuselage, and I get this front done, it'll be ready for micro epoxy wiping. This may take a little bit of filler here and there. The stuff's kind of hard to put on because it's so thick and it rolls around pretty easy. So, alright, we'll be back tomorrow. Okay, it's now Sunday morning, and I went ahead and was able to pull off those little fairings, trim them down, and glue them down, and then put some slurry over top of them. It's all nice and dry. So now this morning I'm going to go ahead and sand on this, sand on that stuff, sand on the tail fairings, and we'll see how everything looks from there. And at that point I may end up taking and adding the little bit extra fiberglass here. Some of this here is must have had some nylon or something in the edge of the fiberglass cloth on the original sheet, because that's what some of this was. I may have to trim a little of that and then put another small layer on here to build this out a little bit. And then I can slurry over top of all this and right back over this if I have to, if there's low spots left from this process. And then I'll get working on this, and may need to add a little more, but I did add more to that last night to kind of help fill it in a little better. It's basically a second coat. So I'll get working on that, and I'll be back a little later with the update report. Alright, see you then. Alright everyone, I'm back now. Looks like this is going to do it for the weekend. I managed to go ahead and get these little fairings all sanded out. You can see that one there. Around this side and this one. And I also got the two in the back sanded out. So I spent most of the day working on this stuff. Got those two sanded, these two sanded, up around the fuel tank area. Got that all sanded down. We're going to need to, there's a little low spot right here. Going to need to mix up some more slurry for that. And then there's a small low spot right here. So I got to mix up some more from there. Now I'm debating on, there's a low spot on the tank right here across the top. You can see this little ledge right here. So I'm going to peel off this tape and stuff, sand the tank down with something fine, and then I'm either going to use lightweight Bondo so it can stick good to the aluminum. I'm not sure how good this epoxy will stick to aluminum, so I have the option there. I got all the windshield sanded around, as well as up in here. It's all good. Just this low spot on the tank right through here. You can see. So want to kind of blend that tank right in with the fuselage. All right, now the last step I did is I went ahead and set these flaps in place. Cut a couple pieces of this thin aluminum printing plate, taped it in from underneath, and then I put a 3-inch strip of fiberglass cloth and a 6-inch strip on here to bring it out. I had to come out a little over an inch to get it to mate up with the top. So it's going to have some low spots in here. It's drooping, but it is what it is. The other side was a little more trouble to get. I had to put some toothpicks in there to kind of hold the edge down so it wasn't sticking up. We'll see how it turns out. But this is longer than it needs to be. So that's going to have to do it for this weekend, this week. It's Sunday. It's probably 4:30, 5 o'clock. It's been a nice day, extremely windy though. Wind's been blowing like crazy out there. It's just starting to calm down. So I managed to get quite a bit done. As far as the fuselage, as soon as I finish up around this tank, it's ready for epoxy wipe. I was looking to put some microbloons on this today, but that flaps took a little longer than I anticipated. So, alright folks, that's going to do it for this week's installment. Like always, feel free to leave any comments, questions, or concerns, and I'll answer them as they come along. Appreciate everybody taking their time to watch my videos, and if the weather holds out, I'll be keeping these going, you know, all summer long until I can hopefully get this thing finished up. So for now, this week's update, that's a wrap. I'll see you guys next week. This is Dino Don, out.